Hola, hola, mis amigos. Hope today finds you guys all doing well. Welcome to our channel, Two Gringos on the Gulf. My name is Daryl, here with my lovely wife Jennifer and our 13-year-old Maltese. So guys, we've had a number of people inquire what we did to prepare for our move to Mexico from Canada. So today we are going to get into that, my friends. So guys, this is what worked for us. If you're struggling with a mountain of debt like credit card payments, mortgage payments, car payments, this should hopefully reduce your debt a lot faster, and it's called debt stacking. This is what we implemented 5 years prior to us moving to Mexico. So if you're not familiar with debt stacking, I'll just briefly explain it for those of you who do not know what debt stacking is. So when you're debt stacking, you line up your debt most effectively from highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. So with inflation skyrocketing around the world, guys, it's imperative that you get out of debt as quick as possible and try not to accumulate any more debt. It'll make retirement much more enjoyable if you don't owe a pile of money. Now, before we go any further, guys, I just want to be clear. I am not a financial advisor in any way, shape, or form. This is just what Jennifer and I did. Thanks to my lovely wife, Jennifer. She's the brains of the operation. I'm just another pretty face. So write down all of your debt, highest to lowest amounts. Every month you are paying your monthly payments on each item. Now, for the smallest loan or credit card or other debt, pay extra. Always pay extra every month. For example, say your minimum payment is $150 for a $5,000 credit card debt, so pay $150 to $200 each month. Once that card is paid off, it falls off your list and you take the next smallest debt amount. Now, for example, maybe a line of credit you have for $10,000. Your monthly payment may be $200. Now add to that the $150 to $200. Now you're paying a total of $350 or $400 on that debt each month. So this may not sound like very much, guys, but watch what happens after the second debt is paid off. You'll be surprised. Okay, so now your $10,000 debt is gone. The next debt due may be a car loan for $20,000, for example, and your monthly payment is $350. Now you are adding the extra $350 to $400 from the non-existent $10,000 debt. Now that is like a whole other payment each month, and things will really start to snowball. Each time another debt is paid off, that snowball is getting larger and larger until you are left with possibly just your mortgage. If you have a 20-year mortgage, you could possibly, depending on your personal situation and debt load, reduce that by half. How exciting is that, guys? Your situation will be unique as you are unique. It took us 5 years of commitment and perseverance on our part before that first debt was paid off. But once it was paid off, it snowballed within a year. We never did get the opportunity to finish the debt stacking procedure on all of our debt before we sold everything and moved to Mexico. But we were on the right track to get everything but the mortgage paid off within the year. So selling everything, including the house, meant we were able to pay off the mortgage and the little bit of debt that we had left owing, and still have a small nest egg to aid in our immigration to Mexico. So a little extra tip for you guys, just be careful about the extra money you have once you start paying off your debt. Don't be tempted to splurge and buy more stuff that you don't need. That money has to go towards your debt for this to work. This meant 5 years of sacrifice on our part. We didn't go out to restaurants much or expensive hobbies. We still vacationed every year, but only with the money we had saved for that purpose, not by creating further debt. that sacrifice was well worth it, as we live in paradise now, and we couldn't do that if all the proceeds of selling our house, cars, all of our personal belongings had gone to piled up debt. We would have been at zero with no buffer in Mexico. It definitely would not have been possible for us to move here if we had never followed these steps that Jennifer implemented for us with this debt stacking. Now, I will leave a link if you want to look further into debt stacking, my friends. You can check it out. It'll be in the description. So there you have it, guys. That's what we did prior to moving to Mexico. As I stated, this was a 5-year plan, not something we did in 1 to 2 years. Jennifer started working at this 5 years prior to us moving here just to get us out of debt and ready for retirement. As many of you know, it was always our dream to move to Mexico. For the past 12 years prior to us moving here, we dreamed of a life in Mexico. So when the world got turned upside down in 2020 and we discovered that Jennifer could do her job from home, we thought, why not make somewhere else home other than Canada, as we had always dreamed of living in Mexico. But Mexico was not our only option. We did look at moving to other countries as well. So in 2020, we started doing more and more research as to where we wanted to live. And we looked at a lot of other countries in Latin America, but we kept going back to Mexico. And one of the big reasons is, and I always tell people this, many years ago, Jennifer went to university in Guadalajara, and she studied Spanish there for 6 months. And Mexico stole her heart. So that kept drawing us back to Mexico. Also, the first time I was out of Canada was a trip to Mexico on our honeymoon. We went to the Mayan Riviera. And I got off the plane and got to the resort. And after about 2 days there, I was like, oh my God, why don't we live here? And Jennifer was like, I know, right? I guess I should also add, guys, that we did look at the possibility of moving to Florida or maybe Texas even. But with our love for Mexico and realized that our dollar would go a lot further here, we opted out to come here instead. I mean, we love Florida and we love Texas as well, but we love Mexico a little bit more. Now, we did consider bringing Jennifer's car here as her BMW was paid for. You cannot bring a vehicle here if you owe money on it, unless you're going to keep going back and forth with it. So that was not an option. And then with all the research that I had done, we just decided that it was a lot easier just to buy a car once we arrived here in Mexico. So that was one of the reasons why we sold both vehicles. It's a lot of red tape to import a vehicle here from Canada. I'm also going to drop a link, guys. The website is called yourlifeelsewhere.com, and it'll compare the cost of living between any two countries. It's one of the websites that Jennifer had found when she was doing her research on moving abroad. Be sure to check it out. It'll be in the description, my friends. Now, I know you guys have heard this a million times, but I want to emphasize greatly that if you plan on moving here to Mexico to learn the language, I was fortunate enough that Jennifer knew Spanish quite well before we moved here, and she could speak it enough to get us by, and she has improved greatly since we've been here. That's one of my biggest regrets, my friends, is not taking the time to learn the language long before we moved here to Mexico. So that concludes our story, my friends, how we prepare to exit Canada for Mexico. I truly hope you guys got something out of this and hope you understand our story a little bit better. Now I'm going to drop some videos on the left-hand corner of your screen, my friends, at the end of this video. Be sure to click on one of those boxes and check them out. You would be doing us a huge favor, my friends, if you would do that. As always, my friends, if you find our content useful or entertaining, please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you're notified when we upload our next video. Adios, mis amigos. God bless everybody out there. Peace on earth. Hasta luego.